For the next 2 hours, we're going to bring you what's happening live in real time. And state lawmakers in North Carolina are busy. They are at it already at the General Assembly. This is the Senate appropriations-based budget hearing that got underway around 8:30. And it appears that they are proposing a budget that is not like the one of North Carolina Governor Josh Stein. Let's go ahead and listen to that live now on WCNC Plus.
Pennsylvania 38%, South Carolina 40%, Georgia 52%, Nebraska 38%, and on down the line. The average across the United States is 47% of the state budget is in education. We are 57% in the first year and 57% in the second year, and that is 18. This year is $18,637 million out of a $32,587,000,000 budget. With that, Mr. Chair, I would like to recognize Senator Overcash to go over the community colleges and the universities.
Okay. Thank you, Senator Corbin. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate it. It's great to be here with everybody. As it regards our community college system, our great 58, the best in the country, we're investing $36.5 million recurring for key workforce initiatives through our Propel NC program. This is going to focus on key areas of healthcare, engineering, advanced manufacturing, trades, and technology. We're investing $12 million recurring in new high-cost startup workforce programs. We're increasing funding for the highly successful program to train our students with intellectual and developmental disabilities, to train them to enter our workforce. It's been a highly successful program. We're taking that up to $8 million recurring to expand that to 25 of our community colleges across the country. As Senator Corbin, Chairman Corbin alluded to, our community colleges' successful apprenticeship NC will now participate in the mentorship of those in our advanced teaching roles programs in our local K through 12 schools. As it relates to the UNC system, as I mentioned last week, the oldest and best in the country, we're investing $60 million to the system to enhance student success and to increase degree completion rates. We're expanding funding for the 4-year merit-based Cheatham White scholarships at North Carolina Central, Winston-Salem State, and North Carolina A&T. We're expanding funding for the NC Promise program at Elizabeth City State, Fayetteville State, UNC Pembroke, and Western Carolina. This also expands funding for North Carolina A&T agricultural research and cooperative extension programs. We'll now have a total of appropriations toward those successful programs for our ag and cooperative industries of $36.5 million. This increases Patriot Foundation appropriations to $2 million for scholarships for our men and women in the armed services, and also for the children and families of our disabled veterans. We're also allowing the UNC system schools to discount tuition for our active duty service members that are in our state in an effort to provide them with a high-quality education here in North Carolina in our UNC system, and also hopefully a place they'll return to with families after they complete their service. We're also going to instruct both the community college system and the UNC Board of Governors to examine we're going to give the community college system funding to examine how they can strengthen collaboration across the 58 colleges and to review for any redundancies or inefficiencies. We're also going to direct the UNC Board of Governors to review all centers and institutes to ensure that they're in compliance with the system's vision and purpose, and identify any low-performing or redundant centers and institutes. The Board of Governors will also conduct a comprehensive review of academic programs to improve student success and eliminate redundancies. UNC Greensboro and UNC Asheville will be exempted from this because on their own volition they've gone through that process, each identifying recurring savings of $2 million for the long term. And with that, Mr. Chairman, that's the education budget report.
Okay. Thank you, Senator Overcash, and again, thank both of you for being here and for all your hard work. At this time, we'll have Health and Human Services. Senator Bergen, and you and your team are Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, committee. The 2025-26 budget for Health and Human Services includes net appropriations of $8.3 billion, which is $439.6 million above the base budget, a 5.6% increase. For year 26-27, the net appropriation is $8.7 billion, which is $361.2 million more than the 25-26 budget, a 4.3% increase. Budget items. This budget prioritizes the needs of Medicaid. While there remains some uncertainty about changes to the Medicaid by the federal government, we felt that it was most prudent to focus on making the currently identified necessary adjustments at the state level to support the program. So the Senate budget adjusts the Medicaid rebase by $500 million in 25-26 and $810 million in 26-27 to provide funding required to maintain current service levels for beneficiaries. The rebase accounts for projected changes in enrollment mix, service, and capitation cost, federal match rates, and the Child and Family Specialty Plan, which will go live December 1st. It appropriates $49.2 million recurring and $34.4 million recurring each year of the biennium for contracts needed to operate the Medicaid Managed Care Program. Budgets for the implementation of the Medicaid Enterprise System to meet federal compliance requirements, and for the total state portion, it transfers $4.6 million in fiscal year 25-26 and $9.1 million in 26-27 from the IT reserve. The remainder of the appropriation and the federal match receipts of $37 million in 25-26 and $57 million in 26-27. It recognizes $225 million in savings from the additional 5% Medicaid match enhancement and transfers those savings to the ARPA Temporary Savings Fund. It increases the state's annual Medicaid payment that's paid by the hospitals to be retained by the state Medicaid program and used to support the state share of Medicaid costs. This totals $30 million in receipts, and that will offset the general fund costs for Medicaid. It imposes 2 one-time add-ons to the hospital assessment formula to recapture a total of $23.6 million in hospital receipts that were not previously collected due to timing issues. The receipts will be used to support the 25-26 Medicaid costs. There's also a provision that requires DHHS to implement work requirements as a condition of participation in Medicaid if approved by federal CMS. Lastly, in Medicaid, the provisions included a directive to DHHS to move forward with a preprint to have freestanding psychiatric hospitals included in the Medicaid HASP reimbursement. This request has been signed off by the federal CMS in New Hampshire as a support to behavioral health services as recently as this past February. Vacant positions. This budget also took a careful look at positions across DHHS to determine where there are significant gaps in employment and currently appropriated positions. As a result, this budget reduces vacant positions in each division of the department that have been vacant longer than 12 months as of March 12, 2025. This results in a reduction of 439 positions totaling almost $34 million in general fund dollars and more than $10 million in receipt reductions in both years. Rescaling staff levels will lead to more efficient resource allocation, and we hope this will allow the department to plan out a strategy of recruiting and retaining staff. Here, the next section, we sought to evaluate current spending and create efficiencies where practical, with an emphasis on ensuring smart spending and no termination of services. We reduced certain appropriations that maintain consistent revisions or fund. We repurposed funds from certain pilots that have been ongoing, like the Mental Health and Substance Use Task Force Reserve that was created in 2016. You may notice the reduction in net general fund appropriations for inpatient psychiatric treatment at local community hospitals, 3-way bed contracts, by $15.7 million recurring in both years of the biennium. Due to the implementation of the NC Health Works, many claims previously covered by this funding are now covered by Medicaid, so there will be no impact to coverage. Further, due to the offsets from the use of opioid settlement funds, as well as requiring LME MCOs to keep service level spending the same as the current fiscal year, this budget reduces net general fund appropriations for single stream funding by $44 million recurring each year, plus $13 million non-recurring in 25-26 and $28.8 in 26-27. This also will have no impact in services year over year. This budget also sunsets the North Carolina State Medical Facility Plan and Certificate of Need program to go along with the repeal of CON, and dissolves the statewide health planning section effective January 1st, 2026. This reduces the budget by $1.5 million in 25-26 and $2.9 million in 26-27. Also reduces net general fund for the state and county special assessment program of $750,000 recurring in both years of the biennium and by a total of $9.5 million non-recurring across the fiscal biennium in response to an over-budgeting of this program. This results in no change to the number of individuals served or the amount of assistance individuals receive. And lastly, reduces federal TANF block grant funding for the Work First Family Cash Assistance Program by $8 million recurring in both years of the biennium due to the decreasing trend in the program's caseload. These funds will replace net general fund appropriations for the Child Care Subsidy Program and the Kinship Care Program. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to turn it over to Senator Galey.
Okay. Thank you, Senator Bergen. Welcome, Senator Galey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Regarding child care, in addition to our efforts in Senate Bill 528 to reduce unnecessary regulatory burdens on child care providers, our budget invests in support for the child care industry in our state. In the aftermath of the stabilization grants era, we believe that one-time funding is not a long-time permanent solution to the child care provider shortage. The federal child care subsidy program is integral to this industry and our workforce, allowing providers to care for children of low-income working parents at a rate that those parents can afford. The rate-setting methodology used to calculate the subsidy is the market rate study, an evaluation of tuition and fees charged across the state per county. The most recent update to North Carolina's rate was based on the 2021 study. We heard the resounding request from stakeholders that an increase in the reimbursement rates for providers of subsidized child care would provide sustaining relief to the industry. Therefore, we appropriate an additional $80 million, $45 million recurring from federal block grants and $35 million recurring from the general fund to increase child care subsidy rates to the recommended level from the most recent 2023 market rate study. This means that the share of government subsidy reimbursement given to providers will increase, allowing higher payment to the child care providers while lowering the percentage share for parents for the price of care. This results in revised requirements for the subsidy program totaling $572.3 million. The budget also repurposes $3 million of block grant funding to create a child care home direct support pilot program. The goal of this pilot is to increase the supply of in-home child care programs by recruiting and coaching prospective child care providers through the initial business planning and implementation process. While this is one-time funding, the program then seeks to ensure sustainability by requiring a 2-year mentorship with the vendor for the new child care programs created under this pilot. Lastly, in provisions, we reduce the monthly copay for families receiving subsidized child care services from 10% of gross family income to 7%, effective August 1st, 2026. In additional spending, we appropriate $18.2 million recurring to the Transitions to Community Living, or TCLI, program to provide additional housing and tenancy support, as well as the wraparound mental health services required by a 2012 U.S. DOJ Olmstead settlement. The budget appropriates funds to PATH NC to operate and maintain this child welfare information system statewide, $1 million recurring and $1.7 million non-recurring in fiscal year 25-26 and $1.8 million recurring and $5.2 million non-recurring in fiscal year 26-27. This system, in partnership with local DSS offices, NC Medicaid, and the provider of children and Family Specialty Plan is critical to the success of helping county DSS offices manage the care of children and the child welfare system. This is set to roll out this year. Another critical investment in data and data systems is we provide funding to support implementation of the EHR, or electronic health record.
Here at 9:15 on Live Impact News, you're watching a meeting taking place right now for the Standing Senate Committee. Various leaders, including here Senator Galey from Randolph County, talking on their departments, their requests on how to plan the state's budget. It is a budget unlike North Carolina Governor Josh Stein. So as that takes place, just a quick peek there at the top with the U.S. futures. Markets opening up in about 15 minutes. And meteorologist Chris Mulcahy saying windy is the word today for uptown Charlotte, but it does look beautiful in the Queen City. You're watching Live Impact News on WCNC+.
Coordinated way, resulting in a longer timeline for implementation. Also, this budget supports the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner in two ways. First, it provides recurring funding to increase the medical examiner fees paid to county medical examiners, which the last time this fee was increased was 2015. Also, it provides recurring funds for 2 additional forensic pathologists in the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner, bringing the total number in that office to 14. We also provide funds to the Projects for Assistance in Transition from Homelessness or PATH, which are grants that serve adults with serious mental illness who are homeless. And finally, for this section, we provide $15 million non-recurring one-time funding across the biennium to support the establishment of the Methodist University Cape Fear Valley School of Medicine. Mr. Chair, I'd like to turn the podium over to Senator Sari to wrap up the Health and Human Services presentation.
Thank you, Senator Galey. Good morning, Senator Sari.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. I'll briefly conclude this with a few special provisions in the DHHS packet. The first is that this enacts the Health Information Exchange Compliance Framework that we discussed previously. The budget also creates a report on the North Carolina Pre-K program to provide details on current unused slots and proposals on how to successfully reallocate those unused slots across the state. It updates the Child and Family Specialty Plan to note the new launch date on December 1st, 2025. It modifies the number of Medicaid standard plan contracts by requiring 2 provider-led entities in regional contracts and clarifying the RFP process for those contracts moving forward. The budget extends the primary care task force, which first expired in May 2024. You'll also see the provisions in legislation we previously considered, Senate Bill 316, which lowers healthcare costs, entitled Lower Healthcare Costs, which seeks to address our healthcare costs from all angles to ensure that we create actual change in patients' lives and in their wallets. These provisions shine a light on every part of our healthcare system to see where cost drivers truly exist and to start to tamp down those costs by things such as addressing billing transparency, fair billing practices, prohibitions on charging facility fees, and prior authorization. Your bill passed with nearly unanimous support in the chamber. The budget also requires certain reporting by dentists who hold permits to administer general anesthesia or sedation on adverse events that occur within 72 hours of that event actually occurring. Appreciate the opportunity to present.
Thank you, members. Okay. Members, I just want to remind you have approximately 40 minutes to get your amendments to bill drafting. The cutoff time is 10 o'clock, and just a friendly reminder. At this time, we'll have our Agner team, Senator Sanderson. I'll recognize you and Senator Johnson and who else you're bringing with you? Senator Barnes, yeah. There we go. Good morning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. Now, please don't forget Senator Barnes. She's a vital part of the.
I know. That's why I saved best for last in my announcing them.
That's a good recovery. I want to go over the Agner budget overview, please. This budget increases Agner appropriations to $863.6 million in fiscal year 2025 and 26, and $905.8 or $0.3 million in fiscal year 26-27, representing a 6.6 increase in the first year and a 6.0% increase in the second year. adds 137 new full-time employees in fiscal year 25-26 and an additional 13 full-time employees in 2026-27 to support expanding programs and services primarily at the zoo, the Fort Fisher Aquarium, and our state parks. It also eliminates 64 positions, including 45 long vacant positions, vacant more than 6 months, and 19 vacant or filled positions that are no longer necessary. Results in a net gain of 86 FTEs across the biennium to align staffing with program priorities. Identifies $15 million in savings through vacancy eliminations and the redirection of receipts. And I'll turn it over to Senator Barnes for this time.
Okay, thank you, Senator Sanderson. Welcome, Senator Barnes.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Senator Sanderson. And yes, this is a privilege to be here sharing the ag budget with you, the best and most important part of the budget. Some of the highlights include appropriating $250 million for verified crop losses due to 2024 agricultural disasters, which impacted all 100 counties in North Carolina. It also provides $20 million in the second year for the North Carolina Agricultural Manufacturing and Processing Initiative, known as NCAMPI, to promote food processing facilities in our farming areas. It also provides $2.2 million for the avian flu diagnostic lab with 10 new lab techs to support outbreak response. And for the DEQ portion, it funds the DEQ Permit Transformation Project, which was created in 2020 to cover more permit types. We are also launching a $1.2 million grant program for harmful algal blooms prevention. We're extending DEQ's authority to share inundation maps and assist high-hazard dam owners in complying with safety rules, including developing emergency action plans. The budget establishes a low-interest loan fund for homeowners with failing on-site wastewater systems as well. And at this time, I will hand it off to Senator Johnson.
Okay, thank you, Senator Barnes, and welcome, Senator Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Wrapping up here on the natural and cultural resources, we're providing $12.6 million in recurring funds for expansion at Zoo Asia, Fort Fisher Aquarium, and other state attractions. Allocating $2 million to the North Carolina Coastal Land Trust for land acquisition on Topsail Island. Provides $400,000 to update the beach and inlet management plan to maintain eligibility for federal funding. We're going to allocate $6.25 million in recurring funds to the Youth Outdoor Engagement Commission to expand outdoor education for youth programming statewide. We're going to fund a pilot program for Sunday openings at 14 state historic sites during peak tourism seasons, and we're going to provide $1.65 million over the biennium to support the Lost Colony. Mr. Chair, that ends my piece of it.
Thank you, Senator Johnson.
Just a couple more that we skipped, Mr. Chairman. You would indulge us, please.
Absolutely.
Water and wastewater infrastructure appropriates $685.6 million in federal clean water and drinking water state revolving funds to repair and replace drinking water and wastewater infrastructure damaged by Hurricane Helene, including treatment works, drinking water facilities, and decentralized systems. Allows unspent water infrastructure funds to cover approved cost overruns for similar projects. Directs $55 million each year to a PFAS mitigation fund to support local testing and treatment efforts, and allocates an additional $6 million over the biennium to the North Carolina Collaboratory and PFAS research. And under economic development and industry support, provides $20 million per year to the Economic Development Partnership of North Carolina for marketing and tourism. Allocates $1.5 million in both years for film and entertainment grants, and expands eligibility to include online series. Reduces the JDIG by $10 million per year, prioritizing high-impact, cost-effective incentives. Directs an additional $7.5 million in fiscal year 2025-26 and $14.6 million in 26-27 from sports wagering revenue to major events, games, and attractions fund. Increases recurring support for the North Carolina Biotech Center to $17.6 million per year. removes 70% interim carbon reduction mandate, to preserve energy reliability and affordability. Authorizes utilities to recover financing costs for new nuclear and gas projects when prudent and cost-saving, and increases the maximum unemployment insurance benefit from $350 per week to $400 per week. And Mr. Chairman, that concludes our report.
Okay. Thank you, Senator Sanderson. Thank you, members. At this time, we will have our JPS, Senator Daniel, Senator Britt. Welcome. Good morning.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. Coming to what we think is the most important part of the budget, justice and public safety. The Senate budget for justice and public safety in fiscal year 2025 includes net appropriations of $4.03 billion, which is $236 million above the base budget, a 6.2% increase. In the next year, fiscal year 26, includes net appropriations of $4.05 billion, which is about a half a point increase. So over the biennium, it's a 6.5% increase, roughly. The JPS budget includes 157 position cuts, all of which are either long-term unfilled positions or positions that we felt like were unnecessary. The JPS budget provides over $10 million in recurring funding for new positions in the administrative office of the courts based on the workload formula. So by increasing the funding for these positions, it's our goal to ensure that the courts have the necessary resources to support that they need. The new positions include 5 new full-time magistrate positions, 28 new deputy clerk positions, 44 new assistant ADA positions, and 5 victim witness legal assistant positions in Mecklenburg. The budget also includes $2.5 million recurring to convert some temporary e-courts positions, which are IT assistance positions, to permanent positions within the administrative office of the courts, while also providing $3.8 million non-recurring in each year of the biennium for time-limited e-courts positions as we transition to the whole state being under the e-courts program, which will happen later this fall.
Okay.
Prosecutorial and District Court District 43, which is a lot of the counties out in western North Carolina, will be divided into 2 districts, District 43A and 43B, and then Superior Court District 5 will be split into 2 districts, Districts 5A and 5B. I think it may already be split, but just as being numbered. The budget allocates in the indigent defense services. It allocates $25 million in funding over the biennium to increase private assigned counsel rates and continue program operations. It also provides IDS with around $1.7 million in funding to establish a new public defender's office in Rockingham and Caswell counties. That would be for 12 new positions to support that office. Also, if you're familiar with the state misdemeanor confinement program that is run by the sheriffs, that is the rate for per diem for prisoners. For state prisoners will be raised from $40 to $45 per day per inmate. So now I'll do the battle handoff to my co-chair, the Senator Danny Britt.
Thank you, Senator Daniel. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the Senator Danny Britt.
Low-key session. Thank you, Chair. Thanks, Senator Daniel. This budget also provides resources to support all law enforcement agencies, including funding for equipment to support the use of ALE body cameras. Further, the State Highway Patrol will receive $200,000 in recurring funding for specialized safety equipment like riot helmets and shields. The State Bureau of Investigation will also receive $200,000 to purchase equipment and contract with pilots as needed. They currently have a plane, or 1 pilot, or 2 planes, 1 pilot. One of the planes in certain airspaces mainly used during extradition requires 2 pilots. Currently, they're having to contract for that. So this is a cost savings. Not only this, the budget provides for additional positions, including $3 million in funding for up to 26 positions for the North Carolina Highway Patrol, $1 million for up to 8 positions with the State Bureau of Investigation. budget supports new plan, voice operability plan for the Viper system, providing $15.3 million over the biennium. This system, of course, keeps our first responders as well as Highway Patrol connected. This was critical during Hurricane Helene. It also ensures that the systems will remain financially viable and that funds will be available in the future when Viper towers need maintenance. Counties that use the system will be given a $100 fee-free network user allocations, but the budget establishes a $25 fee for additional users. Further technology support includes transfer of around $8.2 million from the IT reserve to support North Carolina Emergency Management's communication and disaster IT systems, National Guard's cell phone reception booster systems and equipment at the National Guard readiness centers, purchase of Viper radios for the National Guard, purchase of an investigative case management system for the State Bureau of Investigation. Budget provisions provide $1 million in funding for new positions to support North Carolina National Guard's cybersecurity response force, $250,000 recurring funding to support National Guard's Starlink service subscription, $5.4 million for the Methodist Home for Children, and this program in the Methodist Home for Children is used in juvenile services. Currently, there's about a 26% reduction in reoffending of juveniles who have gone through that program. Methodist
Here at 9:30, you're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. The opening bell rang. The big board is up. New York Stock Exchange opening up in the positive, 32 points, as we are listening in live here to the North Carolina Senate Standing Budget Committee meeting. That is underway. A number of senators asking for different appropriations for their own departments. We also understand that the House Standing Committee meeting is also happening simultaneously. So North Carolina state leaders are busy this morning, and we're monitoring all of it here on WCNC Plus.
Again, this is a first step in a three-step process.
Thank you, Senator Britt, Senator Daniel. I'm going to go off agenda just a little bit. We have a whole new slew of pages just came in. And so pages, I'm going to break here before we get Gen Gov committee and ask if you would come up to the microphone there, Senator Hollow. Yeah, you're getting it ready for him. Introduce yourself and tell us where you're from, your name, where you're from, and who your sponsor is, please.
My name is Stephan Aragona. I'm from Jacksonville, and Senator Lazar is my sponsor.
My name is Kate Taylor. I'm from Wake Forest, and I'm sponsored by Senator Everett.
My name is Kavi Subramanian. I'm from Charlotte, and I was sponsored by Senator Bradley.
I'm Jackson Kasaya. I'm from Wake Forest, and Senator Everett is also my sponsor.
I'm Sam Hollingshead. I'm from Raleigh, and Jay Chowdhury is my sponsor.
Okay.
My name is Reese Stevens. I'm from Raleigh, and Senator Adcock is my sponsor.
Okay. Thank y'all. We appreciate you being with us. You've picked a good week to be here with the Senate budget rolling out. Be plenty of busy work to do. And as I told the other group, we hope you learned something this week, and we also hope you'll teach us a few things, as we know you can. So thank y'all for being with us. And now we'll get back into our presentations on the budget. We have Gen Gov, Senator Alexander, and Senator Ford, and Senator Haining.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. On behalf of the committee of Senator Ford and Senator Hanning, myself, the Gen Gov budget addresses 17 agencies, or 2% of the state's overall budget. During the fiscal year 2025-26, net appropriations of $634.2 million, and 26-27 fiscal year, the net appropriations of $582.4 million. We believe that the specific parts of this budget reduction of duplicative services. To start off with, the Department of Administration, this budget would implement a one-year moratorium on purchasing new vehicles under motor fleet management, as well as a cap on new vehicle maximum prices to avoid purchasing wasteful or unnecessary or overly expensive vehicles. The cap on new vehicle cost would be increased every 2 years by the Consumer Price Index. And during the moratorium period, Motor Fleet Management would be required to assess the damage to the fleet from the fall 2024 hurricane season. The budget will also require regular reports from the Motor Fleet Management on the status of the fleet to avoid potential wasteful purchasing and unneeded vehicles. The budget increases the state funds for abuse prevention. We are increasing the state contribution to domestic violence centers to $7.9 million each year. This comes after the federal government substantially reduced the contributions. Many of y'all know that the federal VOCA funds were reduced during the previous administration from $100 million to North Carolina to only $3 million last year. In the Department of Insurance, the Office of the State Fire Marshal, this budget provides $30 million in the first year and $22 million in the second year for North Carolina's reinsurance policy. And we're also requiring all state agencies to participate in all other perils coverage to ensure that our great state and its property assets are adequately protected in the event of another disaster like we saw during Hurricane Helene. Some other highlights: we're providing funds to the United Way of North Carolina to create a single universal hotline, tip line, to report human trafficking. The phone number will cater to victims of human trafficking and abuse and allow victims to report these situations to staff who are specifically skilled in that area, and this will also encourage the use of a universal signal for someone in danger. The budget appropriates money to modernize many areas of government with more advanced technology, saving time and promoting efficiency. These modernizations touch almost every agency and department within general government. Examples include cybersecurity upgrades for the Department of Revenue, so that to ensure that the North Carolina residents' sensitive tax information is never leaked. The Secretary of State's office will also receive funds to transition away from paper forms into digital online documents for filing businesses and nonprofits. And I'm now going to hand it off to the sartorially expressive Senator Hannig.
Thank you, Senator Alexander. First, I want to thank our team of the A-team, we call them, Catherine Tamer, Sargent, and Bridget Edwards. Thank you all for keeping us on task. I know it was a difficult task at times. First thing I'm going to go over is Department of Military and Veterans Affairs. We are providing $42 million in funding to repair the Fayetteville Veterans Home so that it can be open as soon as possible. We also will be requiring the DMVA to provide advance notice to the General Assembly about the status of veteran nursing facilities before delayed maintenance makes these facilities unlivable. It is our first priority to treat our veterans with respect and never again require them to leave any nursing facility. We are providing $1.4 million each year from the Veteran Cemetery Trust Fund to better maintain the state's veteran cemeteries, including the Sand Hills State Veteran Cemetery. These cemeteries will be able to immediately start improving the grounds and maintenance. Previously, the Cemetery Trust Fund could not be used to maintain veteran cemeteries that were not full. By looking at long-term vacancy positions, we eliminated 23 positions. We also eliminated 57 duplicative positions. We eliminated unused or outdated programs, saving the total state gen government budget by about 5%. Under the Department of State Treasury, we are creating a North Carolina Investment Authority to take over investment responsibilities previously held solely by the State Treasurer, transitioning our state away from the sole fiduciary model. This change will strengthen our security of our Treasury and safeguard the savings of North Carolina residents for years to come. And with that, I'll send it over to Senator Ford. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Office of State Auditor, we're creating the Division of Accountability, Value, and Efficiency, otherwise known as DAVE, and providing $6 million for this new division within OSA. This initial investment will quickly pay for itself as the division identifies waste within our state agencies in the coming years. We're providing $35 million across the biennium, $15 first year and $20 million in the second year to the auditor for the floodplain buyout public-private partnership pilot program. It's a bunch of P's there. This program seeks to modernize the state's floodplain buyout strategies. State Board of Elections, we're providing $13 million to complete the statewide election information management system and the campaign finance software upgrade. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, members. Senator Hannick, Senator Alex.
Hi, everyone. It is 9:40 Tuesday morning. I'm Jane Monreal, and you're watching Live Impact News here on WCNC+.